Welcome to the North Dakota Department of Public Instruction Funding Your Strategic Plan, the budget building process for your consolidated application, fiscal year 21-22. I'm Robin Lang, the Title IV Program Director, and also in our office is Deb Pilo, and she is our Title IV Fiscal Officer. This recording is designed to provide guidance and assistance specifically for budgeting in the Title IV program area. Districts are currently completing the consolidated application in web grants, and NDDPI staff have begun reviewing applications. As the review process takes place, there are many times an application needs to be negotiated back to the district for additional information. These communications will be in the form of web grants alerts sent to the primary contact and any additional applicants listed on the general information section of the application. Please watch your emails for these alerts. All districts complete the consolidated application annually to apply and budget their federal title funding. We are excited to share that the NDDPI has streamlined the consolidated application process for fiscal year 21-22 and moving forward. Part 1, or the narrative section of the consolidated application, is where you'll fill out information such as contact information, authorized representatives for the various title programs, transferability, set-asides if applicable, Title I program information, and Title IV EdFlex waiver participation, and much more. And you guys have been working on that, and you can see the final allocations are available as well as the set-aside amounts. So please check those. Part 2 of the application is where your district will use their needs assessment, their data, and their strategic plan to inform the budget. You will determine your activities that are aligned with your plan and choose the funding stream that has the best allowability for those activities. We also have a wealth of training videos on our site for you to have at your fingertips for ease of anytime use. Make sure you take a look at those. We'll discuss the timeline of the process and the supports we have available. So for the 21-22 consolidated application, for part 1, it opens June 7th. And so all of you have yours open and you have begun working on it. Part 1, the deadline for submission is August 27th. Part 2, the budget completion will be available August 27th through November 1st. And our goal is all applications and budgets will be approved by November 1, 2021. We also have office hours set aside every Thursday in August and September from 3 to 4:30 p.m. where we will be available to take your calls and answer any questions you might have. Also note that no claims may be made until your budget is approved. And here we have the code, the QR code to access our consolidated application office hours. Once your consolidated application, part 1, has been approved, your budget should be available to you in about 7 to 10 business days. We'll just do a quick review of the part 1 of the CONAP, our narrative part. This is all done in web grants. And again, note the due date of August 27th. And here are some of the areas that you'll see within part 1. And again, note the budget will be available 7 to 10 days after part 1 has been approved. Part 2, which will be what we're focusing on today, will be the consolidated application budget process in web grants. You'll receive notification of your approved consolidated application narrative. Then NDDPI will create budgets for each federal title program with all the funds put into an unobligated line item. Districts complete a contract amendment to obligate and justify program activities for the initial budget. Districts submit initial budget for NDDPI program review. If approvable, a final budget will be approved by us at NDDPI. If changes are needed, the budget will be negotiated back to the district for revision. Once all that is done, final approvals will be issued through a grant award. Title IV, Student Support and Academic Enrichment General Information. So let's quickly review the purpose of our Title IV funds. The primary purpose of Title IV funds, Part A of the Every Student Succeeds Act, is to improve students' academic achievement by increasing the capacity of states, districts, schools, and local communities to provide all students with access to well-rounded education, improve school conditions for student learning, that's our area of safe and healthy, and improve use of technology in order to improve the academic achievement and digital literacy of all students. We always caution districts when deciding where to spend your federal funds is to build with sustainability in mind. In Title IV, when you start building your budget, you're going to select from a drop-down menu of a list of activities. This is not an exhaustive list, but an overall range of practices and ideas. Please select the one that best aligns to your activity. And we really think of these as overall umbrella headings. When you come to the justification descriptive, it should be brief but specific enough for us to allow, for us to determine allowability. Well-rounded. You'll experience the same thing. In Title IV, you'll be able to select from a drop-down menu with a list of these activities. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, but an overall range of practices and ideas. Please select the best one that aligns with your activity. The justification description should be brief but specific enough for us to determine allowability. And last, effective use of technology integrated activities. Again, these will be available in a drop-down menu from a list provided to you. It's not an exhaustive list, but an overall range of practices and ideas. Please select the one that best aligns or has that big umbrella for your activity. The justification description should be brief but specific enough to allow us to determine allowability. Investment of your Title IV funds and successful outcomes for students. Here are some key takeaways that we want you to keep in mind as you build your budget. Ensure that all your federal title funds help you accomplish your key initiatives and supports the K-12 strategic vision, aligns to your local strategy map as you described in your CONAP narratives. Ensure the program activities meet evidence-based criteria. Make sure you have defined roles and responsibilities for the budgeting process. Ensure the budgeted activities reflect stakeholder consultation. Review program guidance and relevant training on allowability and requirements. And ensure object codes and tracking codes are accurately aligned to NDSD Farm. Consider the flexibility of transferring your funds. Now we know Title IV has some unique requirements that should be carefully considered and tracked. It's important that districts have internal processes to ensure that the spending requirements in each area are being met. Also, later on in the year, if you do a budget revision, you must be very aware of how that budget revision affects these spending requirements. So let's take a look at those. First, districts 30,000 and over. At least 20% of your Title IV funds must be spent on activities to support well-rounded education. At least 20% of the Title IV funds must be spent on activities to support safe and healthy students, and a portion on activities to support the effective use of technology. And here's the caveat we have to be very mindful of. And of this portion in effective use of technology, no more than 15% can be used on technology infrastructure. When you note the highlighted part, a portion of funds, that is been described as a reasonable amount to support a program or activity. School districts cannot spend more than 15% of the funds allocated in the effective use of technology line item for purchasing technology infrastructure. And these items include devices, equipment, software applications to address readiness shortfalls, blended learning technology software and platforms, digital instructional resources, and one-time informational technology purchases. So consider, what does that mean for your district? For districts 30,000 and under, you may spend your funds, your Title IV funds, in any area that you wish. However, the 15% cap does apply to you. So if you put your funds in effective use of technology, make sure you're mindful of how much 15% cap is when you look to purchase these items. So if you find that restrictive, some thoughts to consider are the flexibilities of transferability. Title IV is that pot of money or that funding stream where districts may transfer 100% of their Title IV funds into another federal program where they receive an allocation. So for example, Title IV may transfer into Title I. Title IV may transfer into Title II if you have an allocation there. Title IV may transfer into Title III if you have an allocation. And Title IV may transfer into Title V if you're a qualifying school district. Let's look again at the flexibilities to consider for transferability. And this is overall looking at all of the funding streams. It can get a little overwhelming to look at, but it's basically what I just covered, except the addition of the flexibility of Title II. So you can see Title IV again can transfer into 3 if there's an allocation, into 1, and it can also transfer into 5 if you have that flexibility, if you're eligible. Title IV can also transfer into Title II. Title II also has the same flexibilities where they can transfer into 1. Title II can transfer into 5 if you are eligible for Title V. Title II can also transfer into Title III if you have an allocation, and Title II can transfer into Title IV. Flexibility. Another area is the EdFlex waiver. So how can the EdFlex waiver help Title IV funds accomplish your key initiatives? Well, there are 2 options. Option 1 is for LEAs receiving an allocation of 30,000 or more, and you might find those spending, that 2020 spending obligation rule too restrictive. So you can go ahead and select that you want to waive that 2020 spending option. Waiver option 2 is for that effective use of technology, that 15% cap. Perhaps you find that too restrictive. When you look at your comprehensive needs assessment, you might say, we need to purchase some infrastructure. However, with the way Title IV is currently structured, you could not do that because it would fall in that 15%, that type of equipment. So maybe you'd want to waive that option. You can select one, you can select both, or you can select none and choose to keep Title IV strictly as Title IV. If you do select one or both of the waiver options, you'll be asked to briefly identify your rationale, briefly explain the impact you believe it will have, and briefly identify how you're going to assess it. At the very end of the fiscal year, you'll be assigned a status report, which is for accountability purposes, just for you to put a narrative in there on the positive effects it had on student learning and the educational performance you saw within your school or your students. One thing to note with our federal Title IV funds is supplement, not supplant. Federal funds are always used as that little sprinkle on top, that extra. They're supplemental. They're not to supplant or take the place of funds that would otherwise be authorized for such activities. One thing we want to bring to your attention is our mandate, Senate Bill 2149, which requires districts to provide 8 hours of professional development in a wide range of areas such as SEL and trauma. If you are going to use Title IV funds to pay for those type of activities, they must be supplemental or above that 8-hour requirement. Kind of a set of guiding questions that might help you determine that are listed below. Is the program or activity that the district wants to fund required under state and local or other federal law? If so, it is supplanting. Were state or local funds used in the past to pay for a program or activity? If so, this could be supplanting. That might be something that you want to give us a call in the office and we'll help talk you through that. Now we're going to jump in and look at the steps to create an initial budget in web grants. I've outlined these for you. They'll be available on our website as well, but just note that they're here. So when I step you through them, you know that you don't have to take laborious notes for that part. Budgeting set-asides. For those districts that have to have funds set aside, there is some preferred labeling that might be easier for you as you track your funds. PFE is Parent and Family Engagement. Co-op is the name of the school, which is our Title I cooperative agreement. Non-public is the name of school. And non-public, this equals our non-public equitable services. NND stands for our neglected and delinquent, and homeless is our homeless services for identified students based on need. Just a couple general reminders. Please use labeling and enter a name of the participating school. Again, include brief but specific budget descriptions for each budget line item. Funds used for specific buildings, it is best practice to identify the school. For an example, elementary, middle, or high school, and then enter the name of the school. That will help you for tracking purposes. Just some overall best practices for fiscal procedures. Establish a process for submitting claims at least quarterly. This really helps when we get towards the end of the year and we get towards that end of the year, and it will help us catch any mistakes before we do that final budget. Complete budget revisions also at the time changes occur in activities. Don't wait till the end. And ensure district accounting ledgers always match the current approved budget. Okay, we're going to jump on to the web grant demo. Remember, successful outcomes for all depends on a collaborative team, which has defined roles and responsibilities. All right, as you've logged onto web grants, you'll see on the left side of the screen a menu. From this menu, we are going to select grants. Here you'll be able to see all the grants that have been assigned to you. You'll select the grant you are working on, and in this case, it's Title IV. It's important on this page to note your total awarded amount right here at the top. When you're working on your budgets, sometimes you might forget what that is, and it doesn't show it on the next pages that we're going to be working on. So I like to keep track of it right now, so that way I don't have to click back to a different screen to refresh myself. Right here under grant components, we are going to go ahead and select contract amendment. You can see on my screen it's going to look different than yours, as I've already been working here and have some examples for us today. But what you're going to do to get yours started, to budget your funds, because they've been dropped in a unobligated bucket, which helped us get this awarded amount up here for you. So you will click on Add Amendment. Status, there's nothing for you to fill out. Amendment type, you only have budget revision as your option. So it's very important for this first time, and so for record keeping purposes for you to know where you started, is to do initial budget. After you do that, you're going to click this green button that says Save Form. And then down at the bottom, there you go. Budget Amendment Title 4. This is our initial budget, and we're going to go ahead and click on that. I'm going to go back to the demos that I've created just by using the back button. Go back to contract amendments. You could keep working in your screen. And I'm going to select our initial budget. That's what we titled it. You can see that number I told you that we might want to write down so we can keep track of it. So I know as I build my budget how close I am to that is not there. That's why it's important to kind of know what that is. I've already put some activities in here. You can see they're arranged by category. They're going to be arranged in our 3 buckets: well-rounded, safe and healthy, and effective use of technology. And under justification for amendment, you're going to explain what that activity is. You're going to be brief but specific, just so we can tell if it's an allowable activity. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to edit this amendment. And as you're building yours, you'll need to edit yours, I would assume. So I'm going to click Edit Amendment. This is where I left off on the previous screen. So I'm going to Budget Amendment Title 4. I'm going to click there. And now I can go and continue to build my budget. So we can see at the bottom, it totals it up for us that I have currently allocated or said that I'd like to spend $16,360. My activities, well, I'm going to purchase technical services. So that would be a contract. The area is in well-rounded music and arts, and justification. So let's see if we feel that this meets the test of brief, specific, and we can determine allowability. So I'm going to contract with Arts Integration to provide all students in grades K-6 with weekly cultural-based art experiences for 8 weeks. A community open performance will be held at the end. Budgeted amount, $5,675. Seems like a very approvable activity. Supplies and materials, well-rounded for STEAM or STEM. And again, remember, these are those global headings that you can align to. We're going to purchase OSBOTs, OSBOT markers, 10 packages for grades 2 through 6 to enhance STEAM activities and opportunities for small groups in the classroom when developing coding skills. $945. Again, that would be a very applicable use of our funds, and we coded it under supplies. There was a question whether OSBOTs should be coded under 700 for technology. In this case, the district felt, and we would support your decision in this area, that it would fit underneath supplies and materials. The next one is 300 again for purchase services. This is in the area of school health, safe and healthy, and they are looking at nursing or e-nurses services. Their justification says the data shows an increase in absences, increase in students with complex health issues. We are investing in e-nursing services through a contract with CREA. 283 students at $300 per student is $8,490. Very applicable activity. 700. Property and equipment. Again, you can see with the labeling that these might go together. E-nursing equipment. This, they stated, it's listed on our contract with CREA. They're going to purchase an iPad and accessories for the e-nursing station, and that's going to be $1,250. So we still have some budget to add. So let's try a couple line items. We're going to add a row. Here you'll see where you have the category. So let's say we're going to choose 700, property and equipment. The budget activity, let's see, what did I do? Effective use of technology. And we're going to look at, ooh, I need to buy some technology equipment. But remember that falls within that 15% cap that you'll be prompted here. But I, as a district, knew that my $52,347 was not enough to accomplish what I needed to. So I selected the EdFlex waiver option on both the buckets. So I'm not going to have to track my funds in safe and healthy, well-rounded in that 20%. And I also waived my 15% cap because I know I want to buy some equipment. So I'm going to select that. And then my justification is, let's say I'm going to purchase 25 iPads for activities. And we're going to say they are $850 each. So I'm going to do some math here. That'll be $1,250. So I'm just going to click Save Row. There, it brought my budget up to 37,610. Let's try another one. Let's say that in my district that I have a non-public that I'm affiliated with. So I have to have ongoing and meaningful consultation with them, and I know what they wish to purchase. So again, I'm going to select, let's do code 600s. We're going to buy some supplies and materials. And this is going to be for, let's look at well-rounded non-public. Now here's where districts may find it helpful to label which, especially if you have several non-publics, you may wish to put it right in here. So I'm going to put that St. Leo's is my school, and they're going to purchase, they want to expand their class offerings. Want to purchase ukulele. I think I spelled that right, but we're going to go with ukuleles. And they're going to purchase 25. They're going to purchase 25, and we're going to say they're $50 each. So that's going to bring us a total of, let's do $1,250. Let's save row. You can see that we've purchased $38,860. Oh, we still have, let's do a little more. Last one we'll add for today. Let's say we're going to look at code to 800. We're again going to do, let's do a non-public one, and we're going to do non-public, and we're going to do safe and healthy non-public. And let's say, remember, I'm going to label it with my school. So I'm going to say St. Mary's will send 3 staff. So they're going to send 3 staff members, so that's specific, to the Rough Rider Conference Medora in May. And I'm going to put 3 staff at, so that'll give me a total of $1,500. Save row. So let's see where I'm at. You can see the nice descriptors. So when you take a look at this, it's going to be quick, easy. Oh, now we have not budgeted all of our money. So I'm going to add a row and I'm going to put the rest in unobligated. Now here's something I want to show you. So I'm going to select a category. I'm going to put unobligated, budget activity. If you know the area where you are thinking you wish to spend, because you're going to do a budget revision to obligate these funds, so you can just choose one. I'll put here. And I'm going to put to be determined. Let's say I didn't write down that amount, so I can't remember. So let's say I'm going to budget $30,000. And that's way over what I have left for my allocation. You see it let you do that. So that's something to be very thoughtful of, because you can budget here for as much as you want, but that doesn't mean that you will have access. Your total awarded amount in this case is $52,347. You've over budgeted. So before you submit, make sure you check those balances. So we're going to have to go in and edit this row because we know it's not right. So I'm going to go ahead, just click on the row you want to edit. And let's see if I can do some. See if that gets us closer to where we need to be. There we go, $52,347. Okay, my budget is here. It's quick, it's clean, it's easy to see through that justification for amendment what those activities are. We have come up with some ways to track our non-publics. So you can look at that, find a system that works for you. When you are complete and you feel that you're ready to submit for our review, you can always, and make sure if you have any questions during this process to give us a call. You can mark as complete. When you get the 2 checks here, that's when you'll get this submit amendment button. So when you're ready, you can go ahead and submit amendment. They'll ask you, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Done our math. And then it will kick back to us at the department and we'll take a review and work with you to make sure it gets approved. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. Here's some contact information for us. Title I and Title IV are the Office of Educational Improvement and Support. And here's our contact information.